Hi, welcome to Enlightenment for Humanity with Judy Jewett. And today my guest is Hudnall. And I want to go ahead and just tell you a little bit before we get on with the show. I am a spiritual leader and teacher. I'm here to help you through the new earth changes, along with many other leaders. If you are experiencing anxiety, worry, out of sorts, not grounded, please reach out to me and I can help you. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest. Ty is a Sedona-based astrologer, sound healer, and a shamanic practitioner. He has been recognized by the Toltec people as an energy healer and a professor of ancient studies. Ty has also studied with African priests, Asian mystics, and over the last 21 years has been involved in the healing arts full time. Ty brings new perspectives and insight to deep emotional healing based on his experience, science, and his dedication to the path of self-mastery. You can reach him at Sedona Acred Sun. Sedona Sacred. We're going to put these on. SedonaSacredSun.com. And you can email him at sedonasacredsun@gmail.com. Now, you see my website is judyjewett.com, and you feel free to email me at judy@judyjewett.com. With that, let's go ahead and begin. I want to thank you very much, Ty, for joining us. I've heard so many wonderful things about you. Wonderful things. And I am just honored that you said yes, you would be a guest on my show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, you are welcome. So what I'd like to do is let everyone know, because as you know about your bio, that your expertise is sound healing, you are a shaman, and astrology. And so that's a lot to be talking about in the short amount of time we have. But I really feel that we need to help people to awaken and to allow themselves to question, to understand, and rise above the fear. So you seem to know quite a bit. So with that, I'd like to ask you, Well, you do. You do. So I wanted to just dive right in and ask you, with the global changes going on, can you give the listeners any insights, or the people watching? Because right now we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube and podcast.
Cool. First of all, astrology and sound have a very strong connection to one another. Do you know why that is?
Tell me. It's all frequency.
We live in a vibrational reality. And the planets produce frequencies in the same range that your brain operates. And those frequencies move through the vacuum of space at 100,000 miles per second.
Whoa.
About 30-something thousand less than the speed of light. So the frequencies of the planets has to do with the cycles of your life.
So,
and that, well, I was going to say, and that's what I'm really here to share today, is about the cycles that we're in.
Yes, please continue.
Well, let's first look at the Saturn cycle. And for you personally, that cycle is a 29.5-year cycle, or around a 30-year cycle. And when you turn 29.5 or 30, you go through what we call a physical crisis. And this is where your life stabilizes. And there's 12 different physical crises, by the way. So depending on what your birth info is, will show us that crisis. You also have another one at 60, and then you have another one at 90. So if we look at 2020 right now, and we go back 30 years, we got 1990, right?
Yes.
So in 1990, we had a financial collapse, and we also had the Rodney King thing.
Okay.
Let's go back to 1960, 30 years before, and we got civil rights. Let's go back to 1930, and we have the collapse of our economy and the development of fractional banking. So here we are. Here we are in the cycle. So right now, over the last year and a half, we've been having a destruction of old structures. And the main structure that's being collapsed right now is greed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So greed cannot go forward into the new cycle.
Okay. And the greed is showing
So
up.
that's oh, it's showing up in everything. Notice we're changing our perspective of what a healthy life is. It's not just about profit anymore. It's about health and happiness and connection and joy, instead of it being profit driven and I have to make money to then do everything.
You know, you're right about that. And it's about, we're at a time where it's perfect for people to say, you know what? I want to do what I know I'm gifted to do and what I want to contribute to humanity. It's no longer a single word, which is my sentence. What is my purpose? The purpose is humanity. What can you do to help humanity? And it's time to really step up and do this, exactly what you're saying, and go within to create that which is already there. You don't even have to create it. You just have to dream it, feel it, and it's there.
You must receive it.
Pardon me?
You must receive it.
You must receive it. Exactly. You do. So, right. That is true.
You know, coming up in 2021, 2021 January is a new beginning in humanitarian new starts, and we're going to have the planet Saturn and Jupiter together. And this is important for humanitarian because it's in the sign of Aquarius, and Jupiter in Aquarius is the expansiveness of the heart. And so you cannot fake living in the heart. You cannot fake care. When we are concerned about things, it is not care, it is control. Care is care. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask
me, please.
Okay. So right now, the energy, because I see that the chakras, the lower energy, the survival, the root chakra has been, everything is being wiped out, changed, the way you know things are changing. And then you go to the sacral, which is God, sex, money, and all the stuff that has come up that keeps surfacing what is happening, you know, on our planet. And we're not going to talk about getting into all of that energy, but there's a lot going on. And I'm sure there's a lot of people questioning God and maybe having trouble connecting because they see an elephant in front of them and they can't see beyond it to know what to do. And then the next one is your solar plex, and it will definitely be activated this fall. I feel we're going to be in this till the rest of the year. And you're right, we're going to be ready for the heart in January. There's going to be a lot of things that happen to get us there.
In the root, the question comes, what is the true root of security? In the sacral, our ability to feel good, our allowing ourselves to feel good comes forward. In the solar plexus, suffering leads to our clarity. And without that suffering, we do not have clarity. Think about the suffering in your life and the clarity that you have in this moment. Without it, would you be as clear?
No.
Excellent. So we all have a new beginning in the energy of humanitarian and Aquarius, but here's the deal. If we don't put ourselves first and receive to share, there is no new beginning. If we seek to give to receive, and this energy where we have to invest ourselves outside of ourselves and not within ourselves, then we will not make a new beginning. We will continue the old patterns.
Let's dive in and really talk about that, because I'm listening to you. I know what it means. It means actually several things, but I want to make sure our listeners understand that, or our viewers.
Okay.
So to give to receive, it's when you say that, give us an example of what you do to instantaneously receive.
So to give to receive in any situation, for example, if you give your worth in the situation, do you receive it back?
Yes, that's what you're saying.
So no, it's a question for you. If you give your worth all into a situation, does it get returned to you?
Well, I don't know. Do I give my worth? Do I give from my heart because I really care and want to give? I always receive.
Giving depletes us. So what I teach now is no more giving, only sharing. And to share, we must put ourselves first, so we have something to share. If we put others in front of ourselves or the world in front of ourselves, then we have nothing to receive and share. See, nature is a shareable wave. Okay, the human thinks that they know better than nature, and the give to receive business is not natural. But they've told us if we don't put everybody else in front of us, then we're selfish, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. What I'm going to tell you right now is not putting yourself first means you have nothing to share. And if that's not the definition of selfishness, I don't really know what is.
Well, what you're really saying is what I'm saying is I'm not thinking about giving. I just am. I'm just being love. And I don't think about I'm doing anything. I'm just giving. I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just being. And in that moment is when you're receiving.
That's called sharing, Judy.
Well,
it's not giving.
You know what? That's what you're talking about. And that is absolutely the same thing I'm saying, that it's been since the 90s or 80s is what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I want to do my purpose. Oh, wait a second. Here's another one. That's one. The other one is, oh, when I have the money from a job, then I want to do X, Y, Z. And those things are being washed away. There's no truth in any of that. And so it is not what can I do for my purpose, it's what can I do for humanity. And it is, I'm here, I have these gifts, and if I will just move forward and know it's already here and dream it, feeling it, it is.
Yes, your feelings are vibration. They are sound. And in physics, you cannot attract something that you do not have or possess. Because like attracts like in music. In music, we don't show up to the bandstand and play in the opposite key of the band. We play in the same key.
Yes. Hey, tell us a little bit about your music. You are a musician, and your picture that I show on Facebook and YouTube is you with a guitar. And I did not make the title be sound healing, which would have been very appropriate with your photo. But I thought today we would talk about all your expertise as a shaman, as a musician, and as an astrologer.
Okay. Yeah, I went to music school for 7 years and then dropped out 30 hours shy of my degree because they were only training me to be a band director. And that was not my highest excitement. So in 2007, my friend Cindy Dell, she's out of Minneapolis, she helped me connect sound to the cellular system through a vibrational interface inside of the mitochondria of your DNA. And so I developed a system of healing that works with the 12 chakra system and works with frequencies in the front and the back of your field. and also works with shapes. See, sound and geometry are the same reality. So the shape of something and its frequency are connected. In astrology, it's the same. And I was studying astrology, I guess this was 2001. And I was finishing the last music theory class in college. And the teacher comes in one day and he says, we're going to divide scales by equal parts. And I said, that's geometry. And he said, exactly. And it blew my brain up, because I realized that sound and geometry were the same thing. It was the last chapter of music theory class, and everybody was bored with it in class. They were like, oh, this is stupid. And I'm like, you guys don't really understand what he's telling you right now. But he's giving you the keys to the universe right now. In astrology, when planets make a 90-degree angle, they infer a minor third or tension. If they make an opposition, it brings awareness, because totality happens from a circle. You must have 2 points. So in the music, I have clients intuit shapes, colors, and polarities that create a binary homeopathic treatment for their feelings.
Whoa.
So it's a 32-hour brainwave system. So I wrote 32 hours of music. It is deep delta. It puts your brain in the delta state, which is 2 to 4 hertz, is where your body heals itself, and your deep sleep. So it's a incredible sleep system. But the music doesn't always sound pretty.
Because the music is your vibration. Is that it? Or where is
Well,
to be tuned of what your frequency needs?
Well, the music is homeopathic, which means like attracts like, and like deals with like. So if you have tension in your reality, you need tension to process it. Very counterintuitive to the mental thinking.
Yeah, you know what? I did energy work, and I used to be a massage therapist, and I did healing work on people's bodies. This was in the early 2000s, and the team of people I worked with in Houston, what we did is we played music to what their body was registering that they could understand. And by playing that music, then we were able to help them release, because that was the vibration of the cells. Does that make sense? I mean, that's what we did then.
Yep. So, most of the healing music is too pretty. They're afraid to put tension in it. So when you get a healing music CD, it sounds like it's elevator music, with singing bowls or something else. This music is more for your body and your inner awareness, because we know for a fact that your cellular system communicates through vibration. And so the language of the cellular system is geometry.
That is true. That is true. So how did you get involved with astrology and sound? I understand the music for sure.
Well, it's 1998. I moved in across the street from an astrologer, also a ancestral priest in the African traditions. And it was a house of musicians. And he came over one day. And do you see the zodiac behind me?
Yes.
My dad bought that in the 60s in Dallas, and he comes over to the house and says, can I have that? And I said, he was a Black Panther in the day, so he's a little scary. So I said, I'll give you anything else I own, but I think I'm supposed to keep this. And he looked at me real crazy, and he said, stay right here. He came back, gave me a book, and said, don't say shit to me until you read this. That's how I learned astrology.
Whoa. Wow.
Before that, I was very introverted and couldn't put myself in other people's shoes. So astrology helped me to organize my own energy and information. Psychology is rooted in astrology. Carl Jung kept astrology charts on everybody. Freud thought everything was sexual because he's a Taurus.
That makes,
if you know any bulls. What is your sign, Judy?
I'm a Gemini.
Of course. You hate to be bored.
That is true.
So the mind, we're having a Mercury retrograde period right now in the sign of Cancer, which is all of the insecurities that people are going through and the fear of not having security. And I usually don't do this because I want you guys to find it in your heart, but I'm just going to tell you straight up, love is the true root of security. You put your security in anything else, and you will find out how unsafe and unsecure that it is.
I get that. I understand that. Tell us more. Okay, so with astrology, just go back to astrology. Looking at charts, and we may have some viewers or listeners that don't really know about astrology, but I would think they do because they clicked on the show. So give us just a quick background of why you do this.
Okay. Why do I do astrology? Let's see here. Well, my clients would tell you that their astrology readings really open a pathway for them to make their own decisions, but to understand the environment that they're in, how long their cycles are going to last, and where they're at in those cycles. Like, we all have collective cycles together. At 21, we have an identity crisis. Who am I? At 29 and a half, we have a physical crisis. At 42, we have a mental/emotional crisis where we seek more freedom at that time, and the Kundalini energy rises to the heart. And this is why men have heart problems in their 40s to 50s, because the energy is asking us if we're ready to receive and share care. And so on and so forth. 51 is another big cycle, which is the consciousness crisis. This is when your gifts come in and the wounded healer archetype comes forward. And then, of course, 60, there's a lot of small ones in between there, but we all go through these same cycles. We just go through them in one of 12 ways that are different. So we all have a different perspective. Like your Gemini perspective. You process things through the mind. You want to reason them out.
I want to know why all the time. That's my favorite word. Why? Why?
That's the mind. Yes.
Yeah,
The dialogue and our thoughts create stories. Okay, those stories shut us down from So when we seek to validate ourselves in any way, we shut down from receiving in one of 12 ways.
What do you mean 12 ways?
Well, people ask me this question all the time because I talk a lot about receiving, and they're like, well, what am I supposed to be receiving? And so I go through their whole field for them. First, receiving worth in your root, receiving your ability to feel good, pleasure, bliss in the sacral, receiving your clarity in the solar plexus, receiving care in the heart, receiving honesty and resonance in the throat, receiving awareness in the brow, receiving passion, your ability to feel connected in the crown, and your 8th chakra, receiving that you are perfect as you are, imperfect as you are, and that doing your best is always good enough. 9th chakra, receiving your authenticity. 10th chakra, receiving your peace from the ancestors and knowing that nothing ever dies, it only transforms. Receiving your power, your capacity to be love, the 11th chakra, and receiving your vulnerability, your ability to receive.
I'm assuming
the 12th chakra.
These chakras are up here?
Okay, so outside of 7, they are the harmonics in your field, and 8 and 9 are above your head. 10's at your feet, it's your ancestral connection, and then 11 and 12 are the outer layers. In music, there are 12 notes in the chromatic scale. So in the early 2000s, I knew that the 7 chakras were not enough to give me the whole story.
Whoa. That's interesting.
12 is the number of self-mastery. Without 12, we're missing out. We need 12.
So ancestral, when you go to the feet, because we have very large chakras in our hands and our feet.
The hands are 11. The hands represent your 11th chakra. That's where you feel powerful or powerless. And it's actually the palm of your hand.
Yes, we have very large.
And the soul, right? The sole of your feet is the 10th chakra, is your ancestral connection, also your grounding matrix.
Let me ask you this. I love just being a Gemini, you know, and asking whatever pops up in my mind. So
why?
Why? That's what my mother, my favorite word as a child. Why? I didn't understand when I heard somebody say one time, a healer, you are never to question why God did what. It's like, why? Why not? So what? Okay, so if somebody, I mean, we're all going through these changes. And with astrology, I mean, you're talking more about what is going on. And with Mercury's not in retrograde. I made a mistake. I thought it was Mercury. It's
yes,
Cancer.
it is. It is. No,
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Okay.
Mercury's retrograde. Venus just finished its retrograde. It's in the third process. And then the coming retrograde is Mars, September 9th.
So if you're going to buy a house, when's the best time to buy it?
After all the craziness is over and the inflated values aren't inflated anymore.
So that could be 3 or 4 years.
Nope. So, you know, America is going through something very interesting, and it is called a Pluto return. It takes 248 years for it to happen. And so America will turn 248 in 4 years. And so we call this a very interesting thing because as the human, we did not live that long, but empires do. Democracies do. And so what happens at the end of this cycle is all the corruption comes forward. And then on all levels, there are expansion from art to technology and everything. This is what is coming. You remember that movie, Mary, Queen of Scots? You remember that movie in British history?
Yes.
So in British history, Mary, Queen of Scots, they did a movie a couple of years ago. This is Britain's Pluto return. This is when they went through they were 248 years old, and they went through a cycle of sheer corruption on all levels in their culture. And then the Renaissance came after. Rome. So will America grow old? Will America make it through this cycle? You know, it is a death and rebirth cycle, and that's where we're at, really. And so imagine 4 years before the end of the Revolutionary War. That's the cycle we're at right now.
Okay. All right. You're saying that would be the same, is what you're saying.
Yep.
If you're comparing.
Absolutely. 244 years ago. People keep asking me, are things going to change? And I keep telling them that with this Pluto return, you bet your ass it's going to change.
So I think we'll just go back to here. Okay. So I guess I still don't know. I get what you're saying. Houses are inflated. Property is. It's crazy. It's gone out of the roof. But I don't know if I'm not for sure you need to wait until the crazy's over if you're because what's going to happen with inflation, the interest rates are going to go sky high and pricing will go down.
Well, think of it this way. We need a new financial system. And so if we continue in this one, you are correct. But this one that we're in right now makes us all debt slaves, and we're all debt slaves to it. And personally, I'm not into it. 12 years ago, we had the housing bubble, correct?
Yes.
And that was when Jupiter was in the financial house of America, when we should have been exploding in our finances. But since we live in a fractional banking reality, inflation makes it where that will never happen again. and they are still doing the derivatives on the house loans. They just changed the name. There's a movie called The Big Short, and it's a great movie because it shows you how they screwed our whole economy. And it's legal. It's legal to do it, and they will continue to do it as long as we let them. But 12 years ago, what the economy showed is that we were not going to be able to go past this point 12 years later and think that inflation is going to go down. See, our money must be backed by gold. If it is not backed by gold, then nothing changes.
Well, that I have heard that over and over again, that people need to be thinking about gold.
Well, imagine if the whole world economy was based on gold and not a number that they can make up and just print money. Printing money is not the answer for anything.
Right.
You know, in 1933, they had a meeting to create the banking cartels that we live in right now. And we were all made debt slaves at that time, all of us. And we're still continuing that. Our ancestors have been put into it, and their ancestors. So, you know, are we going to really be free? Because I will tell you right now, economically, you know, people aren't talking about that the racial issues have to do with economics too. You know, my teachers come from the Black community. So I know what the hardships are that they've had to go through, and the economic reality of how they have to live and their available economics is a huge problem. So we need a better economic system.
And okay, so it's showing up in astrology for the world right now. Is that something that
Yes.
you see?
Yes. Imagine that this is the destruction of capitalism. And notice, like, socialism is thinking it's going to come forward and make a play for things. But if you're interested in socialism, I usually tell people to check out the native tribes. They've been dealing with socialism for a long time, and it's really messed up their communities tremendously. We need a free market. We need a free market where we can get out there and have equality. So, yeah, I mean, the destruction of capitalism, we're watching it right now. Do we want to live from our greed?
It's the same thing
or
with
our heart?
communism. I mean, that is, like, you hear a lot about that now. That's
Yeah, and that's right. It's not the answer either, obviously, you know. So, you know, we're going to have to get beyond our belief systems and step into our knowing systems, which is Aquarius and the new energy, to know. You know, as a warrior, I have no beliefs. I would rather. But belief itself separates us, and people can get up there and talk about this belief and that belief, but it doesn't connect us. What we know in our heart connects us.
Well, that, you know, I absolutely agree. And the thing is, and like, this is even another take, I'm sure in astrology you would tell me, yeah, what's going on. But as the we keep having these planetary changes, there is the rainbow. There is a huge sun after the storm. And we're going to be riding it for a while, up and down. And then it could get really bad depending on if the planet is ready to shift into that higher vibration, and that's an individual choice. But when you talk about socialism, you talk about communism, it's the same thing. That is, you know, as I hear, that's the shadow forces. You know, instead of saying good and evil, let's talk about the darker that's void of light. And the thing that everybody needs to understand, that that's been lifted. You know, that can no longer control us. And so we, you know, keep coming down in these storms, trying to connect with people, say, no, you need to be scared. We need to tell you that everybody needs to do this, and everybody needs to wear a mask, and everybody needs to get a vaccination, and everybody needs to do this, and everybody needs to do that. And oh my God, the virus is going to come out worse. And you listen to those people that are saying that, you know, and everybody needs to question what is really real. And we have lost sight of who we are. And we've, for centuries, this energy of good and evil, that has been controlling so much of the planet. But the good news is it's broken free. So everybody needs to hang on, center themselves in the love that they are, go within. Go within. I wouldn't be listening to anyone except go within.
Right.
Don't buy any of it. Right now, don't buy any of it.
I think that the defining thing for us in the modern times is that concern is masqueraded as care.
Yeah, that is true.
And that being concerned about things means that we want to control the outcome, and we lose trust in ourselves in that energy. And the Toltecs teach that without trust, you do not live in your heart. So when we are all concerned about things, that is not the heart, it is the mind. And the pathway to the heart is trust, but not giving it away because betrayal follows that action, but truly receiving and trusting in your own essence and the love that you are.
And that's kind of a mind blower for people. So they need to really hear that, because that's honestly, we are pure love. That is who we are. That's our authentic self. Take the mask off. That is who we are. And when we live from that, then nothing can bother us. Nothing can stop us, because we're just, that's where we are. Love. And that's, it's definitely, it's very powerful. It's, think about this too, Ty. Everything has a frequency, right?
Yes.
We have a choice if we're going to accept a low vibrational frequency that is used to scare people.
What happens in your field, okay, because you all have the toroidal field, okay, when we charge energy, and what I mean by that is protection, or then we tilt our axis and we create a wobble in our field, just like the planet is tilted and created seasons. When we are vertical, we are in the heart. When the charge is present, our field tilts and it creates a wobble in our existence.
Well, that's what's happening is that we're not able to think, we don't think we can, and that we can figure these things out. And so you're right, it's a tilting effect that is powerless, that is happening. And we all at any given moment can straighten up. And it's people, there is a lot of trauma. I experienced a lot of trauma, and it's a time for humanity, for people to go within and release that. And I don't think a lot of people understand that it's pretty easy to do it, and they have to be willing to change their story. And that's changing your story without judgment. You stupid person, because you're not out there wearing a mask. How selfish you are. I mean, that's sad, but that's fear talking. Let's just breathe and let that go. Let's just let that.
Wonder if receiving dissolves the story. So instead of creating a new story, receiving itself dissolves the need for a story. And then you become shareable.
How would you do that with the virus?
The virus has to do with your immune system, and your heart's frequencies have everything to do with your immune system. There's a physicist that proved the harmonics of your heart say if you have a healthy immune system or not. And his studies say that when they take the electrocardiogram, if your heart has harmonics, which they can measure, then you have a great immune system. If not, you may have autoimmune issues. And I will tell you from my work over the last 20 years, self-worth and autoimmune issues go hand in hand on an emotional level. That being able to accept our own worth does not help us to relate. It makes it very difficult to relate. And that does not strengthen our heart, it weakens it. And then we feel like we must protect it. And that's another big problem in our world, is this idea that protection protects us from anything.
Well, that's part of the old system, and I'm learning as a spiritual leader in study of metaphysics, and quite expert, I feel, in the DNA, the energy of the DNA, and with our beliefs and illness and what's happening, our emotional state, that there is a lot that is, even for us as a spiritual leader, there's some shifting we have to do of the energy.
Yes.
Big time.
Yeah, we're coming into this place where if we're not in alignment with nature,
yes,
it will become so obvious. And nature is shareable. And think of nature this way. I always give this example, is think about a fruit tree. How does the fruit shared? It must receive the moisture, it must receive the right temperature, it must receive the right nutrients, or it has nothing to share. And if we take that into our emotional life and begin to start to receive just a little bit, just make a little space to receive, then we're going to have something to share in all situations. And our ability to receive equals our ability to share. And this is the physics. The physics says that you cannot share energy that you cannot receive. Now, you can give plenty of energy that you cannot receive and then feel depleted, victimized, entitled, and super pissed off at yourself.
That is absolutely true. So back to being balanced. We have a few more minutes. Let's talk a little bit more about, can you give some examples of what you would do besides they need to contact you and they need to connect with you with the music. And I do want you to share that also. But
Okay.
that, like for me, I tell people meditate. If you can't quiet your mind, listen to music. I find some really good things to listen to on YouTube. Really good stuff. And
I do have some stuff on YouTube.
Do you? Oh, good. Good.
Yeah, if you search the Happy Astronauts with an S, that is me and Jens Zeiger. He is the progenitor of the Planetary Gong series, and he was stuck here in Sedona for 2 weeks with us, and we did this show. So there's 8 videos of music on there. Also on the Sedona Sacred Sun YouTube. And if you check my Facebook, we are about to launch a 20-hour live stream with Kimberly Ray, and there are all kinds of guided meditations already there for you, already ready to go. And I think we're continuing those next Thursday also. So yeah.
Kimberly Ray is awesome. You guys can look her up. Ty does a lot with her. She's just so pure. Such a wonderful.
We have a retreat coming up in October 22nd, I believe. You can check her website for that. But it's all inclusive this year. We're going to be at Angel Valley, which here in Sedona is on the land. It's down by the creek. The land is magical. And we're really going to have an inclusive experience this time.
Good. That should be fun. That should be a lot of fun. So, okay, so what people can do is go listen to your music on YouTube, and that would help balance them. We ask something daily.
Right. Literally making the space to receive. In the West, there is an issue that we have that the Toltecs, or the ancient Indians and the warriors, really brought forward, and that's to overcome clarity. Have you heard this before?
No. Oh, well, I understand.
Yes. So, there's always a next plateau. And when we use the word balanced in the West, people think that they're going to arrive somewhere and then I'm going to be in this balanced state. And as you know, that doesn't really happen. You can tell if you're headed toward balance, yay, or I'm moving away, oh shit. And that can happen in like 3.5 seconds.
It honestly can. It absolutely, it can. And
Right.
I tell you, the other thing is I'm finding with myself, I have to spend a lot more time alone of
Mm,
of balancing, of filling myself up with the changes that I too have to
right.
do some deep healing. I have to release. I have
Mm,
to just be activated into the new energy more than
right.
I have. I've been doing that a lot more than actually working because of that
Right.
need to do that. Yeah.
Right. About 2 years ago, the spirits told me that you cannot teach being, and that they focus me in the reality of teaching awareness, of the development of awareness. And awareness cannot be given, it can only be developed. And so all of my therapies now are to encourage that development of your own inner awareness. And in that process, what I've discovered is that to collapse charge, and that's either when you protect yourself or feel weak in a situation, the result of collapsing charge is silence.
That is
And
so true.
the dialogue itself is the enemy inside of us. And so to receive, to share who we are, we must go through the validation patterns. And we all have them because we've all been pumping energy into them for so long, whether they're from your childhood, from your teenage years, from past relationships. They're intense. And it's something where you seek something out in your field. And let's give them example. Two numbers, 1 through 12, the first numbers that come to you.
Oh, me? 8. Two
Yeah.
numbers?
Mm-hmm.
8
Yeah.
and the number 2.
Okay, so this validation pattern, 8th chakra, is the validation that it's good enough, that it was perfect or imperfect. And this validation shuts down in the sacral. And so when people seek this validation, they may shut down from allowing themselves to feel good and punish themselves and say that it's not good enough, so I don't deserve things. So that would be like a validation pattern. If it was a shareable pattern, 2 and 8, it would say receiving bliss leads to doing your best, to accepting that you are perfect as you are, imperfect also, all at the same time, enough to learn, grow, change, and figure out who you are.
That's good.
So when we seek it in the front of the field, we're literally not putting ourselves first. That's the key. When we realize that changing that is damn near impossible sometimes because the dialogue tells us this story hides the purpose. Once we find the purpose in the heart, then can change the reality, no problem.
Yes, it does go to the heart. Before we go, I want to see if there's anything, other wisdom, things about astrology. And when we're done with astrology, I'm going to go right into asking you to give people your information and just tell us a little bit more about what you put together for people. But first, let's tie up astrology.
So the only thing we didn't cover is that we are going through a Saturn and Uranus square, which means a revolution of old structures. So there's tension between the revolution of value that we're in right now. notice the value of things is very important on either side of any ridiculous argument. At the root of it is value. Yes?
Yes.
And so the restriction of individuality, okay, is that going to be put into our world as a new value? Are we going to value limiting our freedom? That's my biggest question to the world. Do we value limiting our freedom? Do we value limiting our actual compassion? And when that happens, pity comes forward. And all the stories recently of that you're doing things for other people. And I just want to ask everybody, you've done things for other people in your life before, and did it turn out well? Did it turn out great for you? And you did all this shit for other people. And in my practice, I can tell you that my clients will tell you, no, it did not. So we're either going to put ourselves first, or we're going to live in the ridiculousness of judgment.
Okay, so that's a choice that everybody has. They want to be in judgment, and you're exactly right. There's a lot of going out there like, oh, you got to do this because you have to think of other people. It's like, no, I need to think about
Right.
me. If I don't, yeah, we're not going to go that route. But you're right. No, I'm with you 100% on that. It's not.
Well, yeah. It's definitely a shamanic perspective. You know, modern people live from reason. So it's either perfect or imperfect. This is why there's so much self-punishment in our reality right now. It's because reason is the biggest asshole in people's lives. Just look at Facebook. I mean, come on, you know, I mean, how many people are warring and wasting their energy on each other on ridiculousness instead of figuring out something that maybe could be functional for themselves in the process? You know, everybody's been hit financially. I know there's many businesses that are closing down here in Sedona, and I definitely consider myself lucky at the moment to be able to still afford an office, you know. But, you know, are we going to destroy the economy? Are we going to destroy small businesses? I don't know. I think some of them are already destroyed. So we're in the revolution of value. And so what is of value to us? What is of value to the world? What do we really want to go forward in value? Because right now, the things that I see being valued is judgment and concern, not forgiveness and care.
It is. Who's
yeah.
right and who's wrong? You're left, you're right. You know, it's like almost we got shotguns at each other trying to prove that we're wrong.
Right.
And we don't spend the
Right.
energy of loving, being loving to all of humanity. So that's where we need to be. And yeah.
So being right or wrong is a validation, and it shuts us down from receiving, you know, and it's a big mental validation in our world. Yeah. So in my practice, it's really all about helping you find your answers. Astrology is a tool that we use to look at your cycles and also look at the map of what you have going on for your whole life. And in astrology reading, we really talk about things that you've been going through your whole life. And usually I'm not really telling you something you don't know about yourself. You just got some stranger telling you things that he shouldn't know about you. But our cycles in life are a way to create more discipline and to create and if I would say anything, astrology is the science of awareness, to become more aware. In the deep emotional work, especially working with the heart, I'm here to help you seek your answers in your heart. I'm not here to tell you your answers because I cannot do that. And I don't know your answers, but your heart does. Your heart knows your answers, and your relationship with your heart is part of the process. Musically, we also use that as an avenue. It's always hard for me to explain all of it because it all really works together. Some people come for just the astrology. Some people just come for the music. I used to have a Thai massage practice. You were saying you did body work for many years. And so I was known for making people cry emotionally and physically.
I can relate to that.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so people, you want to tell us again how they can reach you if they have questions? They can find you on Facebook also, and they can
Find me on
Messenger.
Yeah, you could on the website, of course, SedonaSacredSun.com. You can contact me there. Phone sessions, which are not advertised on there, are just $75 an hour. So you don't pay Sedona prices if you're not here. So I don't usually put that on the website, but I thought I'd share that with you guys. And we record everything too, of course, because it can be so much information that you're going to go back and be like, what did he say? And I don't know unless I'm looking at it. So,
Right.
but you know, I don't want to confuse people, but everything is binary in our reality. And in the African traditions, their divination systems work with the binary code. And that's one way that I help you learn how to read your own field. See, we have all the wisdom inside of us. It's just the mind doesn't understand the heart's reality. Your mind had to develop memories and all of that, but your heart's awareness has been here the whole time. It's been beating the whole time. And that's what humanity is coming into, is the awareness of the heart. The age of Aquarius itself is the age of knowing. And knowing is your heart. The age of Pisces is the age of belief. And look how much damage can be done over the last 2,500 years with belief. Plenty.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. So let's, I want everybody just to breathe. Don't forget to breathe and let the energy flow, and realize that this is your time to self-reflect. Get out of your head, get to your heart, self-discover your own answers. I think that with all the stuff out there might be truth in all of it or none of it. You have to really pay attention and watch your judgment. And when you're upset and this person is stupid and this person is you're in judgment because you're afraid, and it's okay. But be aware you're afraid. And you need to step back and you need to get yourself balanced and self-discover what is the real fear that you're facing right now. Because remember, fears are an illusion. And the only thing that is real is pure love. And everything else can change. Pure love is here to stay. So with that, we're ready to go. And contact Ty. You can find him actually on Facebook also. Ty Hudnall. Did I say that right? Hudnall?
Hudnall. Yes.
Hudnall. Okay. And you know to go to Sedona Sacred
Sun.com.
Sun.com. So that is
SUN.
Sedona Sacred Sun, and that is SUN.com. Sedona Sacred Sun at gmail.com. And I want to thank you, Ty. Everyone go to YouTube, download some of his music, and sign up for a session. You will be glad. Thank you very much for
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.